Welcome into College Football Every Game on the Board podcast, week number 7, episode number 1, with our leadoff hitter, Jeff Nadeau, at Jeff Nadeau on Twitter. Jeff, welcome on in, bud. How you feeling?
Pretty good, Drew. Another week. I'm off the worst week I've had in probably a long time betting college football. It's been a pretty good year up until last week, but you're going to have one or two of those a year. So knock them off and get back at it this week.
Absolutely, man. I mean, you were on a heck of a run. I know as part of this show as well. So, hey, bounce back mode, not a bad place to be, especially since it took you, 7 weeks to have a down day. But, guys, if you're new to Every Game on the Board, it's in the name. We go down each and every game for the college football FBS slate. And for this week, we got some midweek football, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we'll hit the top of the Saturday card here. So starting off Wednesday night, 101, 102, going down in rotation order. We get Missouri State and Middle Tennessee State. It is Missouri State, anywhere from -1.5 to -2.5, depending where you're shopping. 50 being the total. Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Jeff, what are you thinking first game up, week 7?
I mean, this is a tough one. Obviously you have two teams, one of which is a new team to Division I this year. Two teams that have really just kind of, played, some pretty good opponents, if we're being honest. We look at what Missouri State's done. I mean, they played SMU, they played USC, they played West Kentucky, they played Marshall and actually beat Marshall, and then they beat an FCS opponent. I feel like they're probably the team less likely to screw up. I mean, Middle Tennessee really doesn't do anything well. They're not a good offensive team. They allow a lot of sacks. They're not a real good defensive team. Really haven't looked good in any game this season, for being honest. This is also a team that lost to FCS Austin Peay by 20, 34-14. I feel like in just like a coin flip game, I'd be more inclined to back Jacob Clark and Missouri State. I will throw in, though, wouldn't surprise me if this is an ugly game, just due to the fact that these aren't real talented teams. One thing that jumped out at me, both these teams bottom 10 in America in sacks allowed on offense. Offensive lines just aren't great. Now I'm going to go ahead and point out, I mean, I'm not sure that these defensive lines are great movers either, but I really just kind of lean Missouri State. I think they should be a favorite, and they are. Just note, though, that this one opened 3.5, and it's come down all the way to 1.5. So it seems like maybe the sharper money's taking Middle Tennessee. But you have two teams here that I'm not really running to back. I'd lean Missouri State, though.
I'm with you. I think Missouri State's the side. And, hey, disagreeing with the line move, hey, it happens sometimes. So one game down, next one up is we got a doubleheader here Wednesday night, both nationally televised, ESPN2 for the first one and CBS Sports Network for this one. Liberty and UTEP, 8 o'clock Eastern here. It is the Flames, -1.5 as the road favorite, 47 being the total. Jeff, it's going to be the sun setting over the Sun Bowl, a beautiful scenery for this one. And I'll tell you, Liberty 0-4 against FBS teams, going from Lynchburg, Virginia, all the way to El Paso, Texas, and laying a number. I like the Miners here, Jeff, but I'll throw it over to you. What's your read here in the Sun Bowl tonight?
Yeah, Liberty's become really just a confounding team to me. They're kind of one of these teams where they had a good year or two, and what happens is, the bigger programs come calling and basically just take all your talent, and Liberty is just kind of left with what they have left over. This offense is really in a bad way right now. Haven't scored more than 13 points in about a month. It's been ugly. And as you alluded to, only one win, and it was against a non-Division I team in the Maine Black Bears. So, yeah, I mean, a team that played out a competition, a team that really does nothing well. I want to kind of make it clear, take what you know from Liberty out of your head. This team is nowhere near what they've been the last several years. We'd actually probably put them in just, quite frankly, bad team at this point. I think UTEP probably should be a favorite. Look, I'm not going to try to sell a bill of goods on them either. They're not exactly a world beater either, but they've been a little bit more there in games. They played a bit tougher schedule, but they're also a pretty poor offensive team, if we're being honest. I mean, UL Monroe stinks. I mean, the fact that they lost to them concerns me. You look at how they played against good defensive teams in La Tech and Texas, even Utah State for that matter. I mean, just can't get out of the teens. I'd lean under if I had to play anything here. But again, these first two games, you're putting money on bad teams, which I'm not running to do. No opinion, really. If I had to play it, I'd lean under 46.5.
All right, we'll turn the page here to tomorrow's card as we're recording this Wednesday afternoon for the Week 7 slate. We got a 4-pack of games coming Thursday night here, October 9th, 7 o'clock Eastern for the first kick, 107-108, Louisiana Tech and Kennesaw State. We are seeing the Bulldogs of La Tech -5 and a hook as the road favorite, 45.5 being the total. So we're heading outside of Atlanta, Georgia here. Louisiana Tech's, I've watched them a couple times, Jeff. I think they're one of the better teams in the conference, but laying a number on the road can be tricky in college football. Any read here in Kennesaw, Georgia?
Yeah, I was surprised to see sharp money's talking Kennesaw here. I was surprised to see that. I've really thought, everything I've seen from La Tech, I feel like they've checked, every box. This is a really good defensive team, top 30 in total defense nationally. You look at against the number. 4-0. They've covered, a bunch of games. A lot of them as a favorite. They've won 3 straight by 10 or more points. They've taken care of bad opponents. I think the concern could be just the fact that this is a road game. It is a conference game. You also have Western Kentucky on deck, which, is obviously one of the better teams in this conference. But they do have a bye, so they don't play next week. It's a bye week. So it's on deck, but it's not necessarily on deck. I like Sonny Cumbie's team. They've been a trusted favorite. You also look at how good they are against the run, which generally against Kennesaw you want to be. Kennesaw's really not done much of anything well, particularly on offense. It's just kind of one of those seemingly stub your toe spots. But I'd be hard pressed to go against La Tech just because of how good they've been against the number, how good they are defensively. I will point out one other thing. Maybe you worry a little bit about La Tech's consistency at quarterback. It's been decent. It's a transfer and a guy in Blake Baker who was at LSU for a couple of years, and he's kind of went down in talent level, and he's kind of getting there as a player. Big kid too. I want to say he's like 6'4", 6'5", big kid. I like La Tech here. I would lay the points anything under a touchdown.
Moving down the list as we head to Statesboro, Georgia for Southern Miss and Georgia Southern, 8 o'clock Eastern kick. Mostly -3s with Southern Miss. There is a -3 and a hook, the road favorite being the Eagles. We get 59.5 being the total. Southern Miss and Georgia Southern here, Jeff.
Yeah, Southern Miss brought in a guy, Charles Huff, to be their coach. He was the coach at Marshall, had some good football teams there. And I think what you're starting to see is they're getting there as a program, right? It's hard to take your team and go to another team and kind of build, but they're coming off a pretty decent performance against La Tech, a game they lost. They beat Jacksonville State last week, put up 42. They're getting there. Georgia Southern, I don't have much to say about them. This is about where I made this number. I think Southern Miss should be a small favorite, and they are. Another game that I'm not interested in betting. I don't bet a ton on the Sun Belt. For me overall, it's a pass. I will say you have 2 pretty good offenses here. I could see it first to 28, first to 30 wins. Maybe a lean to the over, but not a game I would bet. I think there are better games on Thursday night.
And Jeff, you bring up the Sun Belt things. Do you like that Conference USA, the Sun Belt, are doing this midweek, or would you rather them play Saturday?
Listen, I definitely don't mind more football. I saw today that starting today, there are 49 straight days of football in some aspect, right? Whether it's college or NFL or whatever with the playoffs or bowls or whatever. So, yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I don't mind it. Do I bet these games? I would say on the course of a year when we get into this MACtion and Fun Belt type stuff, maybe once every few weeks. I've noticed that the midweek games are tough. It's a lot like the NFL where if you're thrown off from your normal routine. To me, Drew, college football is meant to be played on Friday and Saturday. Maybe you could sell me on Thursday. That's been going on for years.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I want to see football on Tuesday or Wednesday. And look, it's hard to do in college football. So I think they're tedious matchups. And generally, you're betting on the lower rungs of college football. You look at these games we've talked about so far. Why I wouldn't personally bet them really is they don't really do anything well, right? I mean, you're taking one little thing or two and maybe trying to make it work. You're kind of trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I just don't see a ton on it. But like a spot like La Tech, like I could see that being a worthy spot to bet. But a lot of the time you're betting lower ranked college football, and there's not a ton of value to me.
Yeah, I always bring up the fact that there's more volatility, because there's not as many people in the stands, like particularly for the road team. If they get down, like are they going to come back and show up, or are they just going to lay down and it's going to be a blowout? And sometimes when you bet on that side and they lose by a lot, it's just one of those. It's like you get mud on your face type deal.
I will say, I mean, you look at, usually when I'm on here, we're doing these weekly, during the week games. I mean, you look at last week. I mean, I know you kind of mentioned you would like that. We both kind of like New Mexico State. I mean, seemed like the wrong team was favored in that game. And I think sometimes you can find these spots and say, well, that didn't make a lot of sense. And you also look like La Tech, in 2 weeks, they're going to play West Kentucky on a Tuesday. That's a great game on a Tuesday. So occasionally you get good ones. And who's going to be mad at more football?
Yeah. I'm a fan of it. We get next one up, Jacksonville State, Sam Houston State, 8:00 Eastern kick. -7 pretty much across the board. There is a 7 and a hook out there offshore. That's Jacksonville State as the road favorite. 55 being the total. Jacksonville State, Sam Houston State up next, Jeff.
Yeah, Jacksonville State, I would imagine probably kind of rolls here. Sam Houston State sucks. I mean, they are brutal. I think the big problem with Jacksonville State, though, is it seems like every game they're in is just completely wild. I feel like they'll move the football. Sam Houston can't stop literally anybody. And really every game Jacksonville State's in, they run the ball effectively. They've had a decent quarterback play for the most part. They have a quarterback, Caden Creel. He's not exactly a real good thrower per se, but he can get the job done, be kind of a game manager. It's really his legs that kind of make the difference. He had a huge game against Southern Miss. They weren't able to win that game, but he had a ton of yards. They have a pretty good run game there at Jacksonville State. I would lean laying the points here. Sam Houston is poor. They do nothing well. They're bad on offense, bad on defense. I think the only thing working for them here would be they're at home, but you have to ask yourself, your season's kind of over at this point for them.
Yeah, rough season for the Bearcats for sure. All right, let's take a little bit of a step up here to the AAC, East Carolina and Tulane. So we're heading to the Big Easy, 7:30 Eastern start. I believe this is on ESPN. -6.5 or -7, depending where you're shopping. That is Tulane as the home favorite. So East Carolina on the road here Thursday night, 54 the total in the Big Easy.
Yeah, I lean under here. I could have got a bit better of a number early in the week. I think it was 55 and a half. It's 54 and a half, 54, even 53 and a half is popping up. It's kind of all over the place on different books. I look at both these teams, pretty solid defensively. I've been really impressed with East Carolina's run defense. They did a really nice job middle of the season against Army, just kind of plugging gaps, being in the right spacing. They're going to throw the football at a high level. ECU on offense, pretty good, outside the 20s team. But once they get into the 20s, not a good red zone offense. Tulane hasn't been either. I've noticed with ECU also, and I've mentioned this before, they don't do the little things. They're horrible on fourth down. I think they're 4 for 14 on fourth down. Just drives have completely stalled. A lot of penalties with this team. Just in high leverage situations, they've not gotten the job done. Tulane is kind of a deliberate team. They like to run the football with their quarterback, Jake Retzlaff, who's had his fair share of really good football games this year. Two pretty underrated quarterbacks to me here. I lean under. I could see this game being like a 28-21 type of game. I think it's a little too high for me at this point, especially with some of the red zone problems that these teams have had. I could see some settling for field goals, that sort of thing. So I lean under personally. You look at some recent matches, been low scoring. Not that they're relevant really here per se, but I think this number's a little high.
All right, Jeff, we got a 3-pack here Friday, October 10th. Some pretty good games, in my opinion. The first one up is great. South Florida and North Texas. And we are seeing the Mean Green -1 or pick them, depending where we're shopping. 67.5 being the total. Interesting handicap. South Florida started the season making a splash, in North Texas, they've had a good run so far this season. So good one here in Denton, Texas. South Florida going from Tampa. Friday night lights here, South Florida and North Texas here, Jeff.
I think one decent angle as we get into like week 6, week 7 is we find teams that have played, let's say 5 games or so, teams that have played very poor schedules compared to other teams that have played really good schedules. This is a prime example. Okay. You look at South Florida, essentially the same record, 1 loss. I think North Texas is 5-0. So they both played 5 games. You look at what South Florida's played. You look at what North Texas has played. North Texas has played nothing. Lamar, Western Michigan, Washington State, Army, who this is not a vintage Army team, and South Alabama, who aren't good either. You look at what South Florida's done. We've seen them play very good football teams. Possibly the best team in America in Miami, Florida, as well as Boise, who are always a very good G5 team, and that's no different. So I feel like, to me, I have that working for me. I think all of North Texas' stats, most of them are pretty fraudulent. Look, do I like Mestermaker? Yeah, I think they're more balanced on offense. They can move the football, but I've really bought in this year to this South Florida defense. I like what I've seen from them. They look much better up front. Their secondary is a lot better. They're forcing turnovers. And Byron Brown is healthy, which he hasn't been the last year or so. South Florida's a team that want to run the football. North Texas hasn't really been good against the run so far. You look at that one game against Army, they kind of got shredded, which is normal. I just think South Florida is a better overall team than North Texas. Throw in the fact that they've just played a better schedule. Look, this game's going to be back and forth. Both these teams play at light year speed. Should be a fun game, but if you're going to give me South Florida, look, I got them at a dog price. They're now a favorite. I think they win this game.
I'm with you. I think USF is the side here with the Bulls. We get next one up.
Hold on, one other.
Yeah.
Real quick, one other point to make. I also have noticed, like, the key to this game, and the key to most football games, but most notably this game, if South Florida doesn't have 2 or 3 or 4 turnovers, they'll win this game. Byron Brown, North Texas has thrived on turnovers. I mean, go to that Washington State game. I think they had 5 in the first half. I mean, it was pretty wild. They had some turnovers against Army. Byron Brown has to be smart with the football. If he doesn't turn the ball over, they will win. That's really the key to me in this game. That's how North Texas kind of been able to make their hay this season. So that's going to be key to me. And look, that's key to most teams. If you don't turn the football over, you'll win.
Yeah, I mean, when Byron Brown is playing well, he's a great athlete. I mean, this team, we've seen it. They went into the swamp and won. But you're right. Great point. I mean, that happens a lot in college football.
And I just believe more in South Florida's defense, to be fair. I was really impressed with some of the things they did, as you alluded to, mostly against Boise, the Florida game. So, yeah. And look, I mean, they really haven't played. They've been able to scout this team in North Texas for weeks. They played South Carolina State and Charlotte. I mean, you don't got to prepare much there. So they've had a ton of time to prepare. I think they're the side here.
We'll head a little bit more out west here. Fresno State and Colorado State up next. Mountain West action, -6.5. That's Fresno State is the road favorite, 47.5 being the total. I like Fresno State here, Jeff, but I bet them last week. They didn't cover, kind of one of those situations for me. But what are you thinking here, Fresno State, Colorado State?
Yeah, they've been kind of just in, one of these situations recently, Fresno, where they're just trying to win football games, it seems like. And, you look at, they had to go out to Hawaii, won that game, but it wasn't easy. Then they came back at home, which is never easy to go out to Hawaii and come back. Now you got to go out to Colorado State. So, it's not exactly a real easy trip the last couple of weeks for this group. But I think you really just look at the one constant that we've been able to see from Fresno that we don't get from Colorado State, quarterback play. Fresno has a good, dependable quarterback. Colorado State hasn't. And when you look at why teams struggle, or why on the surface you think a team will be good and they struggle, you look at Army, prime example. compared to the other two military schools, Army has no quarterback. They're constantly going between different quarterbacks, different signal callers. It hasn't worked out. Colorado State, same thing. This team can't decide on a quarterback. Neither have been good enough. Braden Fowler-Nicolosi was benched. You look at recently, Jackson Brasau, I guess he's been okay. He's getting there. Still not good enough. I lean Fresno here personally. I just Colorado State's in a bad way right now. The concern I have with Fresno is just the kind of travel they've had to do. The Mountain West ain't easy. You got to go to Elevation a lot. You got to go to Hawaii sometimes. Not a game I'll be betting on.
We got Big Ten action up next with one of the longer trips in college football. Rutgers at Washington. We are seeing the Huskies -10.5 at home, 59.5 being the total. So the Scarlet Knights making a trip out west here. Friday Night Lights, Jeff.
Yeah. You look at Washington for the trip you just talked about. I mean, they've kind of had a rough go of it too from a travel standpoint. Had to play Ohio State at home, got blown out. We know that. Then they had to go down to Maryland, College Park, had a tough, rough and tumble game there. And I got all the way back home. So it's kind of tough for both, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Rutgers, I don't really know how to gauge them. I mean, I thought they'd be a better defensive team. They haven't really been that. I feel like they can compete and hang here. I feel like Washington's got to get back to what they do best, run the football. Jonah Coleman. I mean, you look at that game against Maryland, 41 pass attempts. That's too many for Damon Williams. I need to see more from Jonah Coleman. They need to get back to what they do best. I think this is maybe a little high. I'd put it more like 7 or 8, but I think both teams have kind of a tough travel spot here. Washington, that's not an easy game last week at Maryland. They found a way to win. Something tells me they'll find a way to win here. I don't know that they'll cover, though. Another game that I think is tough. They need to get back Washington to what they do best in running the football.
All right. Turning the page here, Saturday, October 11th, top of the card, 1-2-1, 1-2-2, going down in rotation order. We're talking UMass and Kent State. Kent State -2.5. Somebody's got to be favored here, Jeff. 51 being the total.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you and I have watched a lot of college football over the years. This is, you see these once or twice a year, these toilet bowl type games. Just, these are the two worst teams in college football year after year. UMass has really never been good. Kent State, I mean, just dreadful. I'll offer an opinion. If I had to play it, which I am not, I would not wager my worst enemy's money on this game. I would lean Kent just because I have seen Drew DeShields, I believe his name is. He's been okay, but then again, I don't know that he played last game. I don't know where he is, what his story is. I have no idea. I just think we skipped this one. Don't bet this game. There's no value in it. These teams are just dreadful. That's all I really have to say.
Yeah, tough start. UMass and Kent State to the Saturday card. A little bit better here, Jeff. Navy and Temple, and we are seeing the midshipmen -9, -9.5. There isn't even an 8.5 at FanDuel. 53.5 being the total. Navy on the road against Temple.
Yeah. So last week, I had a tough week, really tough week. And one of the games that I bet on was Temple UTSA over 56. Going into the fourth quarter, it was 24-21, Drew. And it didn't go over 56. It was a rough one. I don't know why UTSA didn't run the ball more. Temple's got a terrible run defense, and they just didn't run the ball real effectively. It just kind of seemed like every drive stalled out. McCown had a turnover in the red zone. But I don't want to take away from what I know about Temple. They can't stop the run. And now you got to play, one of the toughest, run offenses in America. Temple has really struggled against the triple option, at least recently. You look at the last couple against military schools, they've allowed 38, 42, and they had another rough one in there as well. just they're not real good against the run. They're allowing over 5 yards a carry. I think for Temple to stay in this game, they're going to have to throw the ball effectively. Evan Simon has looked okay. He needs to be better. I'm one to say that I'm never going to kind of go away from what I feel like I know. And to me, this game screams over the total. Navy is a really good offense. And I keep trying to tell people, we shouldn't be listing their totals in the low 50s. It's too low. I mean, this offense has the ability to put 35 or 40 on the board every game. They're a bad pass defense. Temple should be throwing the football, attacking downfield, just like Air Force did last week. I like the over 53.5 here. It's too low to me.
Like the breakdown, Jeff, is we got next one up, UCF in Cincinnati. I'll tell you, I had the Bearcats circled in this one, Jeff, but I wasn't expecting a double digits number. -10.5, -11. That is Cincinnati as the home favorite. Another 53.5 being the total. UCF and Cincy up next.
Yeah, I actually had this game circled for a different reason. I like UCF in this game. If you're going to give me 10 and a hook, big letdown game here for Cincinnati. I mentioned last week how big that game was against Iowa State, and I felt like they were going to win that football game. Big game at Nippert, and they found a way to get the job done. Kind of went just like I thought it would, put up a bunch of points. Brendan Sorsby, a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But now you have to get prepared. You got another team coming right in, and now instead of being the hunted, you're the hunter, or the hunter hunted. You're now in the bullseye, and you're laying a big number. Look, if you're laying 6.5 here, maybe I'd understand. But UCF's a pretty decent team. I mean, they have a pretty good offense. They're not terrible defensively like they've been in years past. They've got to run the ball effectively. What my concern here is, if I like UCF, which I do kind of, their undoing could be the quarterback position. This is another team who just kind of throws the kitchen sink at running the football, getting your quarterback out there on the run. If that's not working, putting them in a position, their quarterback could be 9 for 20. He's that bad. They don't have really any quarterback that can throw the ball, whether it's Cam Fancher, Ja'Carry Brown. They're in a kind of a rough way. So I would kind of stack the box and make a quarterback beat you. And I don't know that they can do that. And that's where this game could be a little tough for UCF. I lean them here, but my concern is that.
Interesting one up next, UAB and FAU, 69.5 being the total. We are seeing the Owls of FAU -5.5 at home in Boca Raton, Florida here, Jeff.
Yeah, I figured this was going to be one of the bigger totals of the week. I played it at a slightly better number, but Drew, I had this total in the 70s personally. You look at a couple things here, and I'll try to keep this short. This is a game, though, that I have a lot of thought in. Number one, pace. Florida Atlantic, fastest in America. Nobody faster. Tennessee's about a 1/10 of a second slower. So South Florida's number one, or Florida Atlantic's number one. They have a quarterback in Caden Veltkamp, used to be at West Kentucky, wants to sling the rock. They want to throw the football. That's what they do there under Zach Kitley. You look at UAB, number one passing team in the country. Nobody throws the ball more than UAB. You've got two defenses that are absolutely dreadful. You've got two teams that are big play teams, long scrimmage plays, a lot of touchdowns. They finish in the red zone. Look, I guess, last week I live and die with totals. I play a lot of totals. They didn't come in for me. But I'm not going to get away from that. To me, this is first to 45 wins. I think this is a wild game. I think you see a lot of big time plays. Florida Atlantic is a fun team, man. I mean, and I go back to a game in particular, like the Memphis game, Drew. There were 38 points scored combined in the fourth quarter. 31 were from Memphis. So you're really never, out of a total with this team in Florida Atlantic. I mean, they can give up points in a hurry. UAB and Florida Atlantic are both off a slow tempo game. UAB played Army. FAU played, I believe, Rice.
Yeah.
So it's back to what they both want to do. I think Jalen Kitna and Veltkamp duel here. If you could bet a pass attempts combined 100 or more, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 100 plus pass attempts here. Velkamp had 50 against Memphis. I mean, even the game against Rice, it was 48. I mean, Rice never goes above 40, it seems like. I could see, 44, 41, 45, 38. I think this is a fun one.
Yeah, you made a good point. This is what these two teams want to do, because I was on that FAU Rice over as well, Jeff. And I watched pretty much every play of that game. And it was on pace to hit the over, but then Rice had the ball and they were just kind of controlling the clock, middle of the third into the fourth quarter. And they kind of just let the clock run a bunch. I don't think that's going to happen in this game, although, things can change. I thought that was a good point, that if both teams are going, that's when you get the really high ones. Also, a question for you. What sports books have that type of bet? Have you noticed any?
I don't know that any do.
Okay.
It's kind of just wishful thinking, but I mean, with props, you could probably look at like individual players and just bet both of them over.
Right.
I don't even know. I don't bet props in college football, so I don't even know if they exist. But I think this could be a fun one. Now, again, I mean, you have a high total here. I mean, but you look at this team, Florida Atlantic. I mean, a total's never really out of the question. And I go back again to UAB in that first game they played against the Alabama State Hornets. Okay, out of the FCS, the quarterback for Alabama State, Andrew Body, just destroyed UAB. I mean, he was the best player on the field in that game, 52-42. It was an absolutely wild game. I could see this kind of game here. I think as long as you get, decent production in the red zone. And by the way, Drew, at the end of the first quarter, that 52-42 game, it was 10-7 at the end of the first. So, I mean, you're never out of a total when it comes to UAB. I mean, they allowed 28 by Akron, Drew. Over. Let's have a fun one here.
Yeah, up and down, over UAB and FAU. All right, moving down the list, we got Charlotte and Army. This is kicking us off on Saturday, 12 noon Eastern. The Black Knights laying a number here, Jeff, minus 17.5 at most sports books, 47 and a hook being the total.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Army will move the ball. Like, I think they're getting there, especially against Charlotte. Like, Charlotte can't stop the run. They don't have to have a particularly great quarterback. I just wish they'd have more consistency at quarterback in Army. Like, some weeks it's Helms, some days it's Coleman. I feel like generally when I just don't know what they're doing. I'm just not comfortable with their quarterback position. And that has me skeptical about laying a number here. I have noticed with Army, though, I mean, their defense is looking a little bit better. I thought they looked really good last week against a good passing attack in UAB. I thought they held East Carolina in check per se. I don't know. I'm not laying 17.5 with Army right now. I'm just not doing it. Maybe a team total. I think the constant you could see here is they will move the ball just because Charlotte cannot stop the run at all. And we saw last week against UAB, and they put 30 plus on the board. I think if it was, what is the number? Do we have a team total number here? I know we do. I just don't have it in front of me. My guess, 47. It's probably going to be like high 20s. No, it's 31. Yeah, I think that's about right. I wouldn't mind that. I could see 34-10, 34-17, something like that. It's a tough one.
31 is what I'm seeing as well.
I don't like their quarterback situation.
All right, next one up, we got early kick, 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, UL Lafayette, the Ragin' Cajuns on the road at James Madison. It is JMU minus 17 and a hook at most shops, 45.5 being the total here, Jeff.
Yeah, if you're JMU, you just got to keep winning football games and obviously winning them by margin. That's kind of your goal right now. I'm learning kind of about Louisiana. I mean, they can't stop anybody. I mean, they just gave up a 50 burger to a Marshall last week. This team can't stop anybody. Their quarterback situation is getting better. They still are struggling to throw the ball. Luckily, they've been able to run it pretty effectively. You look at last week, they had a bunch of yards on the ground against Marshall. That was a weird, wild game. A double overtime it went to. It was, I think, 30 points in the fourth quarter. Just kind of a wild matchup there. Yeah, I think JMU, this is a blowout spot for them. I think they lay it on Lafayette here. For JMU with the one loss, you have to keep winning. You have to keep putting a lot of points on the board. A 38-7 game, a 42-14. Those are the kind of games you need here. They have a great defense, a quality quarterback, a good run game. I'd probably lay the number here.
You talked about Marshall. They're the next team up here, 3:30 Eastern. It is Marshall hosting ODU. Old Dominion minus 14.5 is the road favorite, 57 being the total here, Jeff.
Is ODU a sleeper G5 playoff team? Maybe. I don't know that it's out of the question. I saw them on the G5 board to maybe do it. They're another team. You got to kind of win by margin. They've looked good recently. I don't really know what to make of Marshall. Sometimes they can't move the ball at all. Sometimes they're great on offense. Let it be on record, okay, that each week, Drew, I have to go over some really brutal games here. I mean, I got to go over
on record.
A bunch of Conference USA, Sun Belt. No opinion on this one.
Do you want to switch which section you get? Moving,
I'll do whatever. I don't care. Whatever. If you ever want to switch it up, I wouldn't say no to it.
Okay. The only thing is, like, in the schedule, you're on Wednesday, so that's the first one I got. So that's
It's all good. Whatever you want to do with it, it's all good.
Okay. All right, guys. Moving down the list here, we get App State and Georgia State.
Another one. I mean, it's just brutal.
Oh man, minus 2.5. That's App State as the road favorite, 55.5 being the total in the old Turner Field.
Yeah, Georgia State is perplexing to me. I don't know. This team is bizarre. I mean, so Drew, on September 20th, they allowed 70 to Vanderbilt. 7.
Yeah.
They then had a bye. They come back and play like a knockdown, drag out 14-7 game against JMU. I don't know what to make of them. Some weeks they look like they can compete and they're decent. I do like TJ Finley. I think he's a quality quarterback. He's been all over the place. You talk about a guy, he's been at like 5 or 6 different schools. He actually started the year at Tulane, I believe. He got a off the field problem and now he's at Georgia State. App State play fast. They have a pretty good quarterback as well. I kind of like the over in this game. I think we see points. 55 is a little low. And we know that I'm not going to let one game get over on me. Georgia State is not a good defensive team. Good pace here in this one. I like the over a little bit.
All right, we got one game left, guys. We'll get a best bet, some comments here, both on YouTube and Twitter. Appreciate everybody chiming in. Every Game on the Board podcast going weekly, hitting every single game on the board. He is Jeff Nadeau at Jeff Nadeau. He's got his podcast, the Sit Down Podcast, a good listen there. Also a good follow on Twitter at Jeff Nadeau. We got Northwestern, Penn State, Big Ten here. Penn State, man, yesterday, last Saturday. What a loss at UCLA. Can they bounce back here, Jeff? Minus 22 at home, 47.5 being the total.
I wouldn't think they do. I mean, they'll win. But I mean, I think you have to really ask yourself, like, why is James Franklin still the coach of this team? I mean, you lose to Oregon. Okay, fair. It was a 3-point spread. I mean, we know he's not good in those types of games. Fair. You then go out to UCLA, a team that has been horrific. They're one of the worst Power 5 teams in the country. And you lose as a 24.5 point favorite. I would have fired him on Monday. Seriously, you have to set an example at some point, and that example is there. It's just not good enough. It's ugly. But they didn't, and here he is. And now it's, well, will they do it again? Will they cover this week? They haven't covered all year. I don't know that they're just going to start winning by 35. I don't know if they're good enough. I mean, Drew Aller maybe just isn't good enough. Possibly. Is that a fair point? Maybe he's just not good enough. Maybe they're just never going to be a national title contender. I mean, they did give up 42 points as well to UCLA. Maybe this defense isn't real good. I don't know. I'm confounded by them. I thought going into the season they had the best roster in the country. They added receivers. They have the best running back group. I have no idea. And Northwestern, for what it's worth, pretty solid defensive team. Always. Preston Stone is a better quarterback than they've had there in years past. I'd lean Northwestern personally.
All right, looking towards the points with Northwestern. Giving the chat box a little love here. Andy Baseball saying Nadeau flies. Is that a new slogan here, or is that coming?
We're still on that, are we? Wow, I can't believe it. I mean, I think it's been proven beyond a reasonable doubt I can fly. We're still talking about the whole flying thing, but whatever, it's all good. Yeah, thanks for the support, man.
Yeah, thank you, Danger, as well. Enjoy listening to the podcast. David Montgomery, always good to hear from you, man. Looking towards what a little Liberty analysis there. David Montgomery also with the Southern Miss and the Marshall transfers. Yeah, Jeff talked about for sure. And Dave in the house, like in Fresno, all you guys. Good stuff. Zach Williams as well. South Florida, North Texas. Could see the over in that one as well. Like that look. Well, thank you. Everybody chiming in here, both on YouTube and Twitter, at Drew Martin Betts, at Jeff Nadeau, on YouTube, every game on the board. Jeff, best bet time. You were on a heck of a run. And I guess last week it dropped one, but one circled here.
I will say, I mean, for what it's worth, I had Memphis Tulsa over. I think it was 55.5. It was Drew. I think it was 38-7 at the end of the fourth. 45-7, I think pretty early in the fourth. I could be wrong, baby, but I needed one last touchdown. I wasn't able to get it. Unfortunately, just how it goes. I was hoping to get more out of Tulsa. I always say, I mean, for those totals to go over, you need like 14 or more from Tulsa, and we weren't able to get it. But I'm 4-2 with my best bets in this show, so it's not too bad. We're going back to an over, Drew. Arkansas, Tennessee, over 68.5. Lot working for us here. I mentioned earlier, Tennessee, second fastest team in America. They're really quick. Arkansas, fast as well. They want to play go. Both these teams, very good quarterbacks. Joey Aguilar and Taylon Green, two teams that can throw the rock. When you have an over of this caliber, okay, two questions I ask. I know two teams that want to throw the football. Where are we at from a pass defense standpoint? Arkansas can't stop anybody. We've seen that time and time again. It got Sam Pittman fired. Remember they gave it the 50 spot to Notre Dame? That ain't going to change just because they fired their coach. They still have the same personnel. Tennessee is actually worse against the pass than Arkansas. Tennessee can't stop anybody either. Throw in the fact when you have a total of this caliber, you need big plays. Okay. And when we look at what we characterize as big plays, long passing plays of over 10 yards, Tennessee 8th, Arkansas not far behind. Okay. Both these teams, big play, a lot of 30, 40, 50-yard pass plays, and they score touchdowns in the red zone. Arkansas, I believe, is number 1. Tennessee's not far behind. This is what I like to call a little perfect storm over. Reminds me a lot of UAB, Florida Atlantic. I think this is a fun one. I'm going to give you a final score prediction. Tennessee, 48-37. I think Arkansas covers, and I think the cover, they're going to have to score a bunch of points. I like the over.
And an exact score there, which he has hit before on some of his best bets. Some of you guys letting us know.
I think I did. I think I hit one earlier. I think it was week 2 or 3.
Yeah, you hit the exact score. Hey, you bring up perfect storm. I'll bring up another kind of angle towards your perfect storm. Josh Heupel, the head coach of Tennessee, likes to run it up. He's at home in front of the home fans, and he's a double-digit favorite. That's something to keep in mind. If it's close, like late in the fourth quarter, they're still going to want to score. That's in your back pocket as well, Jeff.
Yeah, I will also point out, I mean, I think in terms of Arkansas, I think a coaching change was needed. I mean, you lose to Memphis, which shouldn't happen, and then you kind of just get embarrassed against, Notre Dame. Like I said, though, I don't know that you're going to see much change on defense. I just think they kind of are who they are. And look, Bobby Petrino, for that matter, I mean, what's he kind of known for, Drew? I mean, you tell me. You're a smart guy.
I mean, he made his way. He was the offensive coordinator from Auburn at one time.
Yeah, he's not exactly a defensive genius either. So I don't think that's going to change much. I love Tennessee. I love watching them I had an over with them in this show, I think earlier with UAB Tennessee over. That kind of went exactly how I thought. Arkansas is a great over team. We didn't see these teams last week, so I like it. Drew, before we go, I want to recommend something to anyone out there. If anybody likes true crime stuff, you got to watch this Ed Gein show on Netflix. It's about, this guy, Ed Gein, who, is just a real sick fuck. It's a true story. Charlie Hunnam plays Ed Gein. Charlie Hunnam is in Sons of Anarchy. He played Jax Teller. Just a terrific actor. I feel like I know a good amount about Ed Gein. I think Hunnam did a great job as Ed Gein. Just a really strange, bizarre guy. It's based in like the 40s and 50s. It's really good. I would urge you to check it out if you like it.
All right, I wrote it down. I'm looking for some good
bizarre, but good.
Like it. At Jeff Nadeau on Twitter. Check out his podcast, The Sit Down. Anything else, Jeff, before we shut it down?
No, thanks for having me as always. Another good week here coming up, and we've got a lot of football coming up, so it's a great time of the year.
Absolutely. MLB playoffs as well. Anything quickly you liking on the diamond?
I haven't played anything yet. It's funny.
No
I actually like Seattle last night. I didn't play it. I wish I would have. It was a little high for me to get involved, but no, I haven't played anything. I know the Phillies, they obviously need a win tonight. They got Nola on the mound. I think they're going to have a short leash on him. It wouldn't surprise me if the Phillies lose. I think this team is just kind of, the fan base is bought in that they're just kind of not good enough. They don't have a good enough staff. Dodgers are a wagon, it seems like. I don't have much. I haven't really spent a ton of time. It's just football for me. I'm getting ready for college basketball. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Man, football, CBB right around the corner. Jeff Nadeau, great
Under
stuff,
a month.
man. Yeah, good analysis here, guys. So appreciate everybody chiming in. YouTube, Twitter as well, at Jeff Nadeau on Twitter. Check out the podcast wherever you download your podcasts at, and on YouTube, Every Game on the Board. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Cash those tickets. We'll be back tomorrow with the rest, Every Game on the Board podcast. Until then, cash those tickets. Thanks for tuning in.